Today, breaking news: the spotlight of global security has shifted sharply toward Eastern Europe, where NATO is watching Belarus more closely than ever before, and the reason behind this attention is raising serious questions across military, political, and intelligence circles. Something big is coming, and the signs are no longer subtle. From troop movements to diplomatic signals, Belarus has become a pressure point that could reshape the balance of power in the region. Belarus has long been seen as Russia's closest ally in Europe, but recent developments suggest its role is evolving from a passive partner into an active strategic platform. NATO analysts believe that Belarus is no longer just providing political support to Moscow, but is increasingly integrated into Russia's military planning. This integration is what has triggered heightened surveillance, intelligence gathering, and readiness measures by NATO forces. Over the past months, satellite imagery and open-source intelligence have revealed unusual activity across Belarusian military bases. Equipment has been repositioned, airfields upgraded, and logistics hubs expanded. These changes may look routine on the surface, but in military terms, they often signal preparation rather than defense. NATO is not reacting to one single event, but to a pattern that suggests coordination and intent. One of the biggest concerns for NATO is Belarus's geographic position. Sitting between Russia and NATO eastern members, Belarus acts as a land bridge that could be used to pressure Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia. During previous regional crises, this territory has proven critical for rapid troop movement. Any major escalation involving Belarus would immediately affect NATO frontline states. Military exercises conducted jointly by Russia and Belarus have also raised alarms. While exercises are common, the scale, frequency, and scenarios being rehearsed are what make these different. NATO officials note that some drills closely resemble offensive operations rather than defensive ones. These include rapid mobilization, airborne assaults, and simulated strikes near NATO borders. Another factor fueling concern is the deployment of advanced weapons systems. Belarus has reportedly received upgraded missile platforms, air defense systems, and electronic warfare equipment. Such capabilities significantly increase the country's strategic value to Russia. For NATO, this means the margin for warning time in any potential crisis is shrinking. Political messaging from Minsk has also shifted. Belarusian leadership has adopted a more confrontational tone toward Western alliances, aligning almost word for word with Moscow's narratives. This synchronized messaging suggests deeper coordination at the highest level. NATO views this as an indicator that decisions may no longer be made independently in Minsk. At the same time, internal pressures within Belarus cannot be ignored. Economic strain, political isolation, and reliance on Russian support have reduced the country's strategic flexibility. Analysts believe this dependence makes Belarus more likely to comply with Russian military requests, even if such actions increase regional instability. NATO response so far has been measured but firm. Increased reconnaissance flights, enhanced troop rotations in Eastern Europe, and intelligence sharing among allies have all been stepped up. These moves are designed to signal awareness without provoking escalation. The goal is deterrence, not confrontation. One of the most sensitive issues NATO is monitoring is the possibility of Belarus hosting permanent foreign forces. Temporary deployments already exist, but a permanent presence would dramatically alter regional security calculations. NATO strategists warn that such a development would reduce response times in a crisis to minutes instead of hours. Cyber activity linked to Belarus has also intensified. NATO cyber defense units report an uptick in probing attacks and digital surveillance targeting infrastructure and communication networks in neighboring countries. While these actions fall below the threshold of open conflict, they are often used to prepare the battlefield for future operations. Diplomatic channels remain open, but trust is low. NATO officials emphasize that transparency from Belarus is minimal, making worst-case scenario planning unavoidable. When intentions are unclear, alliances prepare for the most dangerous possibilities rather than the most optimistic ones. Publicly, NATO leaders avoid dramatic language, but behind closed doors the assessments are far more blunt. Intelligence briefings reportedly describe Belarus as a potential launchpad for broader regional destabilization. This does not mean war is inevitable, but it does mean risk levels are rising. Another dimension of concern is airspace control. Belarusian air defense systems now cover a significant portion of Eastern Europe. This complicates NATO's ability to operate freely in the region during a crisis. Control of the skies is often decisive in modern conflicts, and NATO planners are paying close attention. Energy infrastructure also plays a role. Pipelines, power grids, and transport corridors running through Belarus are critical to both Europe and Russia. Any disruption, intentional or accidental, could have cascading economic effects. NATO views infrastructure security as part of the broader threat picture. The situation is further complicated by global distractions. With multiple crises unfolding worldwide, NATO must balance resources and attention. Belarus, however, has emerged as a priority because of how quickly conditions there could change. Sudden moves are harder to manage than slow, burning tensions. Some experts believe NATO vigilance itself is influencing events. By making it clear that Belarus is under constant observation, the alliance hopes to deter reckless actions. History shows that visibility can sometimes prevent miscalculation, especially in tightly contested regions. Others warn that constant surveillance can increase paranoia on all sides. Misinterpreted movements or routine drills could be seen as preparation for attack, leading to rapid escalation. This is why communication, even limited, remains essential. For civilians in neighboring countries, the situation feels increasingly tense. Governments are updating emergency plans, increasing defense budgets, and reinforcing borders. While daily life continues as normal, the underlying sense of uncertainty is growing. Belarusian citizens themselves are largely excluded from these strategic discussions. Decisions that could affect their future are being shaped by geopolitical forces beyond their control. This disconnect adds another layer of unpredictability to the situation. Looking ahead, NATO analysts are watching for specific triggers. These include sudden large-scale troop deployments, permanent basing agreements, or abrupt changes in Belarusian military doctrine. Any of these could signal that something big is no longer just coming, but already underway. The next few months are considered critical. Seasonal factors, political timelines, and military readiness cycles all intersect during this period. NATO is using this time to refine contingency plans and strengthen alliance unity. Despite the tension, there is still room for de-escalation, confidence-building measures, transparency initiatives, and renewed dialogue could reduce risk. However, these require willingness from all parties, which currently appears limited. What makes this moment especially dangerous is the combination of speed and secrecy. Modern military operations move fast, and decisions can be executed before diplomacy has time to react. NATO close watch on Belarus is meant to buy time and prevent surprises. In the broader picture, Belarus is no longer a background player in European security. It has become a central piece on the strategic chessboard. How it moves next could influence not just regional stability, but the future direction of NATO-Russia relations. For now, NATO remains alert, cautious, and prepared. Officials stress that watching closely does not mean expecting the worst, but it does mean refusing to be caught off guard. In an era of rapid change and high stakes, vigilance is the price of stability. As the world waits, one thing is clear. The attention on Belarus is not temporary, and it is not symbolic. NATO is watching because the consequences of being unprepared would be far greater than the cost of constant readiness. Something big may be coming, and this time, no one is pretending not to see it.